this week's episode of Between Two Barbells. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Tatum McCann. I'm an Olympic weightlifter and coach with over 10 years of experience.
I'm Alex. I'm a semi-professional wannabe strongman athlete who has about 5 years of experience competing and 4 years being a coach.
So, getting into what we're going to be chatting about today, we have a couple things that we're going to cover, so we're going to be bouncing around a little bit more. We always start off with a pet peeve. Alex, do you have a fresh one?
No.
All right, I do. Okay.
Wow.
Um, so, now that I'm
Tatum
back
got out of the house.
training, huh?
Tatum got out of the house.
Tatum did get out of the house. I've been working on leaving the house almost every single day. It's been going pretty well. I'm at the gym last night, and like, granted, this is like the teeniest, tiniest little thing because I'm at the gym last night, and by and large, I've been lifting alone just because there's not a lot of people in there. But I moved my gym time like an hour earlier, and I went in, and there are 6 people in the gym, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's this small of a facility, that's basically everybody that I know who goes there. There's like 6 whole people in there. It was awesome. As I'm running through, and like there's the dudes making their like funny humor content, whatever. They're entertaining as all get up. I there's like you exchange pleasantries, especially when you're in a small gym and you know everyone there. You exchange pleasantries and everyone kind of goes along on their way, theoretically. One of my it's a little thing because I understand that it is the result of having a good community is sometimes you get trapped in conversations for like 30 minutes in the middle of your workout and it just ruins everything. Like I was warm, I was moving, and maybe this is like partially a me thing because I don't want to be rude. And usually I'll be like, oh, let me hit this real quick, and then I'll like go off and do my thing. But you're just like in a conversation and someone's talking, and it's usually about cool stuff. Like this is about super cool stuff. I got stuck. I was like, oh shoot. Okay. Oh, I was gonna be doing super heavy pause squats after this. I missed every single set of my working sets of pause squats. I had to bring my numbers down because I was cold and my body was not having it after having like a 30-minute break. Frustrating.
So, as someone that actively looks for an out to get through training, I enjoy the 30-minute conversations. There is no better feeling than walking into the gym on Saturday for Strongman Saturdays and seeing just all my buddies there. And then 9 times out of 10, my 2 hour workout that I could easily get done takes 5. But that's because I just like talking shop. And I actually have a tip for you, Tatum, and you can try this next time and we could see if it works. Why don't you just try whatever's loaded on the bar, right? Because I'm assuming you weren't ready for your first working set.
I was built up to my first working set.
Okay, so we'll go off that. You're ready for your first working set. Bars loaded, platform ready, whatever. Um, go down about whatever you feel a comfortable jump may be. So for me, could be anywhere from 10 to 20 kilos. Okay. Hit that, rewarm the body up a little bit, get the blood going and all that stuff, get the muscles used to load again, and then go back up and then try that. Because
So
I know
yeah,
that.
it's a wave. I've done that. I dropped weight a little bit. Granted, my numbers right now are so wildly deflated because of how much like raw strength I've lost, and it shows a lot in my squats. Honestly, my pulls are going way better than I expected. Like I inflated my number on my pull a little bit, and I was like, okay, maybe she has hamstrings now. I don't know. Um, but I went down. I like dropped 10%, did a set there. I was like, okay, that's fine. And I moved up. I did my first working set okay, and then I missed all of the rest of them. I added like 2 kilos and everything just went to garbage. Frustrating. I love the conversations. I love having a good gym community. I just think that when you are training with other athletes, I think it's a little bit the responsibility of both parties, or at least it's like the cordial thing to do for both parties to know that the other person is also there to work out and be like, hey, do you want to hit that real quick? And then like you can go back and do it.
I still feel like this is just a you thing because there are so many out avenues that you have to still get in your workout.
Also,
and
I
it's
don't
just
want
you.
someone talking to me while I'm trying to squat. I'm trying to squat. Pause the conversation.
Pause the conversation while you pause your squats. Should put
Alright,
that.
maybe it's just a me thing. But that's what it's
It.
a personal pet peeve. I love conversations in the gym. I don't like when they're inescapable and long.
Mm, no, I mean,
You
as
don't get
someone
to
that,
say no, it's my pet peeve.
I mean, you're just. This is purely a you thing. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't think this is just a me thing. I think, hear me out, that this probably is because women tend to be socialized to be like very careful of not being perceived as rude or unfriendly. I think that's probably a chick thing.
I mean, maybe.
That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna
I don't
say this
know.
is probably like a chick thing of like you don't want to come off wrong because like the 100% we're like hyper aware of social perception. And I think that's probably where that stems from.
Yeah.
All right, getting into our topic of the day. So we had a couple things we wanted to yap about, but before we start recording, Alex and I were talking about different industries and the effects of AI on them, which leads us into AI training. Because I know there's AI programs that will like write your training programs. There's some that will like evaluate your bar path for Olympic lifting and your like speed velocity measures and all of that. What do you think? Are you for, against? What are your thoughts? Because I have really
Completely,
strong opinions.
completely against, obviously, as someone that could potentially lose their job, to coaching AI. Because I mean, let's be honest, you can go on ChatGPT and write a 12-week cycle, with just, hey, help me out on the keyboard. But I think this is where the coach and athlete relationship really comes into play, and something that I think will be missed entirely, right? It and I'll put it this way. When you're at a competition, or you're at a gym, do you want to be the guy that's by yourself eating your Uncrustables or doing your lift by yourself? Or do you want to be the people that are laughing, smiling, having a great time with their coach and their team around them? You know, when you have AI running your program, you miss out on that. And everything kind of just feels robotic, you know? You can get basic strength gains, but are you going to get someone that's willing to sit down and listen to what's going on? No, you're not. I can't tell you how many times as a coach I've minored in therapy. Um, so I'm against AI, and wholeheartedly. I hate that it's taking over. I hate that we're losing that humanity aspect of like, hey, I'm working with a person. And the same goes for, what I'm going to school for in physical therapy. I know AI can't replace me in physical therapy because that AI can't do what I can do, at least not until we get robots. And then next thing you know, we're a part of the movie that we watched in the 2000s. But yeah, I'm fully against AI writing programs, being a coach. I think if you brag about having AI as a coach, I would find you very dumb. What do you think?
Okay, okay. So I have very strong anti AI opinions just in general. I think it is terrible for the environment. The social impact is something that we are going to have a very hard time recovering from. It's been proven to cause brain rot and like lower cognitive abilities for people who use it and rely on it. Like I think overall AI is a net negative. And I know that there can be some good things that come from it, but I think that overall AI in general is a net negative. I do not like it. I will not use it. I am avidly anti AI. And that may mean that this world moves on without me. That's fine. I would rather it that way than for me to give into this.
Yeah, and it's like you have someone like ourselves that, looks into countless research articles about the newest, greatest training method and stuff like that. All the hours that we spent, it's like, I kind of feel like stabbed in the back if you're just going to replace me with a mind that just scours the internet and puts together this very basic 3 by 10 workout together. But it's like they're not going to modify your program on the spot if you have something come up. They're not going to, um, you know, take in the injuries, the lack of sleep, all this stuff, especially more for the high level strength sport athletes. If you're more of a general population just getting into the gym and you need structure in your life because you're just that type of human, um, could be utilized until you're ready to take that next step. But I think if you are talking about specifically a strength sport athlete now and you're getting programmed by AI, I think you are vastly missing out on having a traditional coach.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to allow some nuance in my I don't like any AI take. I don't. I don't. I do understand that it can provide greater accessibility, especially because some coaches can be very expensive, and especially with like the current economy and everything going along with that, not everybody can afford it. And I'm like, okay, if this is your like, I want something that's more customized to my needs, but at the same time, like I can't pay someone to do that, and I just need something. I can understand. Do I think it'll be as good as any like well researched, up to date, experienced coach? No, I don't. But I can understand where it could be a viable option for some people, and I would understand it more if I was not avidly anti AI altogether. However, I do think that there are a lot of like fitness influencer esque people who sell very expensive cookie cutter programs,
That
and I
are written
think
by
that if
AI.
AI kind of ends up putting that out of business,
Mm-hmm.
so be it. Like, you're not actually coaching anyone, you're not actually programming. If you're
Mm-hmm.
using a cookie cutter that you're just giving to everyone, and whether you claim that it's personalized or not, because let's be so for real, right now, so many online coaches don't actually do personalized programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I've never pulled from other programs. Like, I've had athletes who I have running, like the Hatch squat program, but it's integrated with other of my own brain's doing and all of that. Like, you can utilize pre-written programs, ones that are like squats and milk or whatever it is, these programs that are well known, but for a certain athlete at a certain time with certain numbers with different accessories, there's a way to kind of weave an artistry in good programming that I don't think you get when you utilize a computer program.
Yeah, for sure. Um, my kind of big thing is like if we looked at it, how many influencers are making a cookie cutter program that is purely written by AI and they have no say in it? That's the number that I'm very curious about because then you get like this guy that's followed bodybuilding and oh I've followed this guy for years and I'm just starting to run his program and it's like, hey, you just got a message on Instagram saying that he had a cookie cutter program available and you went and paid, you know, $40, $50, whatever it may be for that. And it turns out he's never seen that program, has no idea what's on it. All it is just hit his social media guy or whatever typed it into chat gpt, came up with this program and just slapped his face all over it.
Yeah. Which, like, I'm not altogether against cookie cutter programs either. Like, I'm following one right now. Like, I'm doing one of the Catalyst athletic programs where, like, we're all kind of, there's a giant group that all started at the same time. We're all kind of running it, but it's the same thing. You adjust for your percentages, and then there's notes for, like, if you need lower volume or higher volume, or, like, hey, if your recovery was trash, do this instead, like, things like that. But I also, again, have a decade of experience in this. So, like, if it looks like BS, I'm gonna know it's BS. And if it's just hard because you're making me do tempo overhead squats, then, like, tan you, and it's hard. Tempo overhead squats are the worst. Like they're a good kind of the worst. I don't know if I have ever trained with tempo overheads before. Done like a lot of tempo squat work, but I don't think ever with overheads. Bro, that chest is rough. But like again, some cookie cutter programs can be really well done, and this is from the Everetts. Like they're well-known, actually qualified weightlifting coaches, which is why
Hmm.
I wanted to run their program. I wanted to see what it was like, and overall, I've been really happy with it. I think it's been challenging. It's given me new ideas, and like that's fine. I don't need something that's personalized because right now I'm just like trying to get back into the groove of weightlifting. I'm not in a competition season. But if I were a competitive athlete, I would want the feedback of being able to send to coach videos and hear what they
Hmm.
have to say on it. I would want the live feedback and changes to programming of like, hey, coach, I stuff happened and I got caught in a conversation at the gym and it got cold. I've missed all of my squat working sets. What do you want me to do?
Hmm.
Like having that can make or break an athlete's experience.
Yeah, it's that I feel is priceless when it comes to coaching. That on the fly, just, hey, what do you think of this? Or, hey, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've even had athletes that are like, hey, I missed a day, can you rearrange my entire week?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we'll do it. But um, as someone that is writing currently a cookie cutter team strongman program, um, I have full hands on that one. That thing has become my child, my most prized possession, um, as far as coaching right now. And it's a huge project, right? In that I'm making this as bulletproof as I can be. Obviously, I am human and I do make mistakes, but it's like I'm putting stuff in there where, okay, you don't have a log. Well, you're going to do barbell work for this movement, and we're going to work percentages here, and this set's a drop set. This is how you calculate the drop set, and this and that. And there's so much hands on work that goes into making it because I also want to make this very good and to the point where someone at a 24-hour fitness can buy this and go, okay, I can run this. I have everything available at my gym. To the person that is at a pure strawman gym and goes, okay, this is going to get me through an off season where I really just don't know what to do. That's the whole purpose for it. It's not meant to prep for comps. It's not meant to peak an athlete for certain shows. It's meant to hit the basic lifts in strawman and to put on just general strength. That's really it. But I mean, that program is also kind of the monster of so many different experiences that I've had. Starting my career training out of a commercial gym. And now going through so many different programs. And again, I just take little bits and pieces of what works and then I mash them all together in a sequence of things that make sense in my brain. It doesn't have to make sense in yours as long as it makes sense in mine.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, AI sucks. Get it out of here.
Bro, facts. And we're gonna get left behind by the world. One, you still need people to run AI. Like, it's not like it's a fully independent thing. It's not as smart as it thinks. It just pulls from what people have already thought of in their own brains. And it usually does it poorly. The amount of AI searches that you can do and find that, like, the sources that it pulled from are, like, tweets. Like, that's just some random person put out there. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's my source. Trust me, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
so many people became so reliant on it so quickly because it's easy. And I don't know if this is just like the athlete in me or how I am as a person, but I often think that when things are easier, it's probably worse for us.
Yeah, no one likes hard work.
I like hard work.
Do
You like
you?
hard work. That's why we're competitive athletes.
You also complained about overhead squats
I
just now.
complain about everything, but didn't I say they suck, but in a good way, in the best way? Like they're hard and it sucks, and I love it. That's become
Yeah.
like my favorite part of this program. Is it's a snatch balance to tempo overhead squat, and they're heavy. And I like never really know if I'm gonna make the lifts on that day on like that movement on my program, but it's good. I'm being challenged.
So, fun fact, I've given my one weightlifting athlete that exact complex.
Snatch balance to tempo overhead squat.
3-second tempo.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yep. And
Look at
he
us.
loved
See,
it.
that's the thing. Most coaches will come up with like pretty close to the same thing when it comes to like programming because there are basic like you understand how biology and physiology work and there's some things that work and that's how you cause adaptations within a certain load and like all of that. But there's still like a finesse, a panache, and artistry that comes with it.
Yeah, for sure. That's more just like a funny thing of like my weightlifter who is 50 plus years old doesn't complain about the movement that you are complaining about. And I just thought that's funny.
Okay, one, that athlete is the coolest, and I don't think I've heard him complain about anything except for the fact that his kids are full grown adults and still live with him. And two, I will complain about everything, but I will always do it.
Did you do your safety bar squats, Tatum?
I wasn't gonna do that program when you made me do SSBs. We've already went over this.
Yeah, I'm
I was
just
talking to
pointing out.
another girl at the gym about that because she had SSB. It wasn't squat. She had SSB something. It
Good
was like Bulgarian
mornings.
split squats or something.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Yeah, dude, this SSB is just the worst." And I was like, "Oh, don't get me started on that. I will trap you in a 30-minute conversation about how much I don't like the SSB."
So then what you're saying is you started your own pet peeve by then proceeding to have a 30-minute conversation with this person about why you hated the SSB bar.
Yeah, I'm a raging hypocrite.
Okay.
Everybody is.
Just
I
wanted
am
that
by
per.
no means gonna claim that I'm not a huge hypocrite when it comes to a lot of areas. As
Okay.
a coach, I would always be like, hey, do as I say, not as I do. I'll like
Hmm.
shotgun a monster and use it to wash down pre workout. Like, I'm not claiming to be healthy. I'm not claiming to be the most disciplined. I'm not claiming to be the best athlete. I do things that annoy me when other people do them all the time. That's just like a part of being human. I at least have the self awareness to be able to recognize and admit that.
I just wanted the internet to know that you are indeed a hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm a huge hypocrite.
Okay.
No shame in the game. I know who
Okay.
I am.
Okay. What
All
do we
right,
have
which moves us on
next?
to just no smooth transition whatsoever.
No. When has this ever been a smooth transition? We are just two friends yapping.
All right, want to get into? I know that you've exclusively competed in strongman, right? As far as like strength sports are concerned.
Yeah, and I coached one CrossFit comp.
So I've never competed CrossFit, but I coached CrossFit. That's where I started off. I started off in a CrossFit gym when I was 17. Um, and then I've coached a few different competitive CrossFit athletes. I coached through a few different CrossFit comps. I've helped handle for strongman. I've coached one strongman athlete. He never competed. Just I didn't actually coach you. Like I've
You handled
handled you
me.
a good deal, but I would never say that. Like I was, I collaborated on your programs, but I like assistant coached you.
Hey, all I know is that we went to Niagara Falls.
We went to Niagara Falls, baby.
They have no idea what. The viewers have no idea where that came from, but at least we have an inside joke.
Niagara Falls. Not even the good side, but it's fine.
Well,
But no,
now I can go to the good side. I have a passport.
you have a passport now. Look at you. You
Yeah.
want to go?
Yeah, kind of. I
It can't be that far of a drive. Ohio's only like 4 or 5 hours from here.
just want to go step one foot in Canada just to get a stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a Canadian stamp on this passport. I have one on my old one.
Okay. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
We are getting off topic. So you've competed and coached strongman, and you've coached CrossFit. I've coached CrossFit. I have coached some strongman, not a ton. I've competed powerlifting, and I've competed and coached Olympic lifting. You've also coached powerlifting.
I've coached powerlifting athletes in a program, yes, but I've never handled them at a competition. That was
See,
supposed
I've
to
handled
happen.
athletes at powerlifting comps. I love athlete handling. Can I just say that? Like, I think one of my favorite things as a coach is athlete handling. Just like day of, that feels like a part of where I just thrive. Like, I will read your mind and know everything that you need before you even know that you need it. I will hand you these 3 gummy bears to eat before you take that deadlift, and then you'll win regionals, AJ. Like, there's a. I love handling. I love handling so much.
I get nervous. You've seen me. I get very nervous, especially before the first event. After the first event, we kind of settle into a groove. And then from there, it's like, okay, whatever happens today is going to happen. But before that first event, and this is where it all comes from, right? When I'm coaching an athlete and then handling them at a comp, that is the exact moment where I am hands off with this person. Obviously, I'm there handling them and making sure their day runs as smoothly as possible. But that's when it's just go do what I've taught you to do and, prepped you for the past, 8, 10, or weeks or 3 months. Um, and then that's why I get nervous is because in that first event, it's like you have no idea what's going to happen. Like, just, I've had athletes just go out and have a terrible first event, and I just go, oh, it's going to be a rough day. And then you know, obviously I shoot for having athletes absolutely kill the first event, and then it's like, okay, we're going to ride this wave all the way through and through. But yeah, it's just reiterating that um, they don't have to worry about anything. You're handling everything. All they have to do is go pick up heavy objects, heavy circles, and then put them back down. So, but yeah, different sides of the spectrum, both of us.
Not more often than my own athletes, but I've done a good deal of handling athletes that I'm not their primary coach. Some
Mhm.
of whom I'm not a coach at all. I think I was at Powerlifting Nationals a couple years ago, and 3 people were all lifting at the same time, and one of them was the coach. So the other 2 were just like, so I was like, bro, I got you. And like, I'm right there. And I just hopped in. I had never handled a powerlifting meet at this point. I was like, I think coming from Olympic, I'm like, yeah, nothing is gonna be as like complicated as handling an Olympic athlete because like you're not making a bunch of weird number jumps. There's not like the chess match between coaches going on. It's just like, oh, you do your lift, what's your next number? There you go. And like that's it. After that, it's just like waiting and keeping an athlete primed, and like that's super chill. But like I love handling athletes, and I've done a good deal of handling athletes that aren't even mine.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I got you. Just come here.
Well, yeah, and I feel like there's so much less pressure when you're not handling athletes that, or you're handling athletes that aren't yours. Um, because then at that point it's like you mess up, like that ain't on me, man. I'm just here to hand you nerd clusters and uncrustables and guzzle water down your throat. But um, so yeah, I think the most stressful situation was when we were at the Arnold this past year, and they were running extremely late into the night. Um, we were the last ones there. We had our super heavyweight friend AJ, and they tried to cram probably a 4-hour contest into an hour and a half. And Tatum and I, we've been a lot of things, and I think we were very close to being a NASCAR pit crew that day. Just the taking off, his grip shirt, putting on his comp shirt, sliding off sleeves, giving him his recovery tool, literally tilting water down his throat as if it's like a gas tank and you're just refilling him. That was very stressful because it was roundy round on that day.
See, I'm with you. That was stressful. I don't think for me that was nearly as stressful as this past nationals.
But yeah, nationals. Yeah, nationals was fun for you.
Yeah, there were what 6 athletes?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 of us.
Izzy, Esther, you, Brian, Jeremiah. 5 athletes. Yeah, having 5 athletes competing and you, their main coach, also competing and therefore not really helping. Which, like, granted, you did a ton for the fact that you were competing. I will applaud you for that. But you were also competing. And, like, bro, I was just in shambles. The amount that I, like, sprinted back and forth, I ended up hitting. Did you ever see the bruise? Did I show you that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I ended up smacking my leg super hard on one of the little like stands that was holding up the big backdrops. And I'm like bleeding and bruised, but I'm like running to get around all of the athletes so I can go stand in front of Izzy and make the call on her deadlift medley. I'm it was a lot. That was admittedly a really long weekend for me.
Yeah, it was also a very long weekend for me too. Obviously not as much as you because as soon as it was time for me to go in my session, I was like, okay, time to go be a little athlete and go do what I do. Um, but yeah, day one especially was pretty rough for me, and I think not that it's an excuse, but definitely being up 3 hours before uh your session time to coach and handle an athlete, and then trying to get in the mindset of like, hey, now I need to go murder people. um that I think is a feat in itself, which I applaud any coach that could do that, of just flipping the switch from coach to athlete from the first session that started at, I don't know, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. and then went until noon, and then from noon to 3, it's like you're now competing. That was a long day. Because you're making calls, you're doing this, you're doing that, and at some point it's like you have to then leave the situation up to you, um, to now, hey, I need to go start warming up and getting ready for my own safety. Um, but I think it did help out a little bit that we had three of us in the same weight class. So especially when it got down to day two and we were all in the same session, that was very much like, hey, we got each other. Like the three of us, we will stick together and sing Kumbaya and have fun in the warm up area. Um, Go worry about the other two. And I think that kind of helped the load a little bit. But obviously, you still try to be a good person and be around for everyone. Um, but yeah, just I tried to take the load off as much as like I could that weekend. It was a fun weekend though.
It was a
Like,
fun weekend. All right, we started getting on to talking about how we've coached and competed in various different sports because I wanted to kind of shift into a little bit more of a education focus, if you will. So I know that we talk a good deal about different sports that we work in and all of that. But I wanted to just see if we could give like a brief overview of various strength sports and then kind of see like how they compare and contrast amongst each other. Because I think that for people who are listening or watching and who don't have like a really good grasp on any of these sports, it probably gets a little bit confusing. I mean, I was talking to some of the strongmen at the gym yesterday, and he like walked up, and granted, I've been lifting there for 6 months, and he was like, "Was that a clean?" And I was like, "No, those are snatches." And he was like, "Yeah, I still don't know anything about Olympic lifting." Like, I think that going over like a base level overview of the various strength sports would probably be helpful.
okay. So Strawman, it's basically these weird, heavy, cartoonish object looking things um, that have to get moved from point A to point B in some manner, whether that's going from the ground to overhead, 50 feet away, or over a bar or onto a platform. I think that's very key, is the point A to point B part in Strawman. We have a ton of different events that we could do. Typically, no two strawman counts are the same. There are some that have similarities, but as far as the weights, the way that it's programmed and stuff like that, I feel that it is powerlifting combined with CrossFit in a way. And because we have max distance events, max weight events, just there's so many different things that you could do in with one implement. Like with a log, you could have a log ladder of ascending weight. You could have a max reps. You could have a 1 rep max. Just so many different things in strongman, which is very contradicting to the powerlifting and weightlifting sport, where it's just you have the same lift no matter what state, what comp you go to. Um, three attempts, and then you're done. But you could touch on that more
Yeah.
because that's
Um,
your thing.
That is my thing. So I talk about weightlifting all the time. We do. The official name is Olympic weightlifting. Most of the time, we just call it weightlifting. And I know that that gets confusing, especially when you're in online discourse, because when people say weightlifting and they're in the Olympic lifting community, that's just shorthand for Olympic weightlifting. People who call it Oli, no. That's a very tiny, very, very personal pet peeve of mine. That just bothers me. It's annoying. But Olympic weightlifting is weightlifting. There's two competition lifts. You have a snatch, which goes from the floor in a wide grip directly overhead, caught in a squat and stood up. And then you have a clean and jerk, which is a two-part lift, but it is still one lift, where you go from the floor onto your shoulders, and then from your shoulders into an overhead. Usually with a split, where you kind of like with your legs, or with a squat jerk, where you're re-squatting and then standing up. Those are your two Olympic competitive lifts. When people just say, like, oh yeah, I train weightlifting, as a weightlifter, I always go, oh, you do Olympic. Most people usually just mean they do like weight training or they lift weights. Not the same thing, but those are minor semantics that nobody actually cares about unless you are one of the weird people in this niche strength sport. It's called Olympic lifting because it's used in the Olympics still. We almost lost that for a minute there, but we're back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's the one strength sport that is utilized in the Olympics, which is why we get to call ourselves Olympic lifters, even though very, very few actually are competing at the Olympic level. So
You
there's
guys, you guys are like the middle child that people sometimes often forget about.
weightlifting is so fun though. But yeah, so we yeet weight over our heads.
Yeah,
Sometimes strongmen do that, but they throw like rocks and kegs and bags of sand over their heads. We yeet barbells over our heads, but it's like the ballet or the golf of strength sports, where like it's usually very quiet. It's very technical. When done well, it is beautiful. It looks like a dance. Like you are moving your body around a barbell that is loaded with hundreds of pounds on it. It's so pretty. Strongman is fun. Weightlifting is pretty. And then there's powerlifting. You want to
the
break down powerlifting?
grungiest, the grungiest strength sport where all the grunting happens even more than in strongman. Where your total and placement in the world rankings is dependent on how skinny you get and how strong you are. Um, so powerlifting, you have your main three lifts: squat, bench, and deadlift. Typically, everyone who goes to the gym has done these movements at least once in their lifetime or to some variation with the deadlift, I think, having the most variation. Um, with that, you get 3 attempts per lift, so 9 lifts total in the day. Typically, you are divided up into flights, and you get to call your own weights based on how your attempt goes. You have 3 judges to give you a down call, and then your success is determined by red or white lights. Powerlifting is very good, in my opinion, for developing that foundational strength, um, because it is the 3 main movements in any gym, without a doubt. Um, Everyone does squat bench dead. Everyone could get good at squat bench dead. Um, and then from there, you could branch off into different strength sports if you so please. Um, I know personally, I have no desire to compete in powerlifting just because I think the training is so repetitive and oftentimes boring. Um, but hats off to the elite level and the amateur level athletes that have the dedication and the discipline to complete powerlifting cycles over and over and over again. But yeah, that's kind of powerlifting Like you show up to your local meet. They have them just about every weekend, under different federations, and then you just call your own numbers, go hang out with your buddies, eat gummy worms, and then you go get Korean barbecue or sushi after.
Yeah.
I
Um,
There's not really much more to say to that.
Yeah, powerlifting is your SBD. I didn't touch on it, you touched on this in powerlifting. So Olympic lifting also has 3 attempts per lift, so it's 6 lifts total. Usually your entire competition time that you spend anywhere from like 3 months to a year prepping for, you're doing like less than 2 minutes of actual work. Which is so fun. Like it's genuinely all for nothing at the end, but like the glory.
Well,
Then
yeah,
there's also 3 judges, white or red lights, depending on if you make it or not. And there's a bunch of different rules. So even if you make a lift, there's a lot of things that could mean that you didn't make the lift. And
mhm.
people love to get really, really heated about whether or not it was in fact a press out and should the press out rule even exist? Yes. Um, and there's a lot of things that go into that. We can get into that at some point. I have a weightlifting coach who I think I might see if he wants to come on, and then we can just yap because I know that we would disagree on a lot of things, and we've gotten into it in person. We're good friends, mind you, but we've gotten into debates over things like the press out rule and stuff like that, which I think is pretty fun.
Mhm. Yeah, and
But then that brings us into CrossFit.
oh boy,
CrossFit is cardio.
cardio with strength, with gymnastics, with yeah, so many things. You have to be good at so many things, and we could have an entire episode on CrossFit and how it's dying and all this stuff. But um, CrossFit, I think, is the most well-rounded humans in the world, especially at the elite level, because they quite literally have to go into like gymnastic bar work, into uh, Olympic weightlifting, into powerlifting. Like you never know the combination that the people that put on these comps are going to get, right? Um, and typically the workouts are hidden until day of or a week out. So you're just kind of going with the motions of the ocean in training, just trying to find the best combination to send yourself into a comp. But CrossFit, there's tons of different standards that they have for different movements. Being a judge, I think, is one of the hardest things because there's just so much going on and so many things to look out for.
I've
Um,
been a CrossFit judge.
yeah, and I could never do it. Because again, they have to be good at so many things. Like there's not really just one certain goal, but it's just be fit enough to accomplish all these tasks in the best time or most weight as possible. I feel like that is kind of like the goal of CrossFit.
Yeah, the foundation of CrossFit is constantly varied, high intensity functional fitness. So, the basic idea is that you train to be such a well rounded athlete that you can get thrown basically anything and be able to do it with some degree of proficiency. So, whether it's like, hey, you're running a half marathon, they're like, all right, let's go. Or like, hey, we're about to max out our clean and jerk, okay, let's go. And you're capable of doing that. Hey, I knock out 10 strict ring muscle ups. Like, ugh, that sounds awful. I could never do that. But like, okay, let's go. And at the at least ideal and most elite levels, you are able to do all of these movements as quickly as possible and with some degree of proficiency. And that's the basis and the foundation of it. I think a lot of things changed with CrossFit throughout the years, especially I came into it in 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a very different game than it became in like 2019, 2020, and then even more recently it's been all over the place. But the idea is that you can get thrown like basically anything. I think at one of the like Rogue Invitationals they threw like shooting. They had like air rifles going, and it
Yeah.
was like stress shooting was one of their events. No one was prepared for it, but like the idea is that you can do basically anything with some degree of proficiency. So rather than being specialized, like in Olympic lifting or powerlifting, you are able to do a lot of different things, even if you've never seen them before, because you are just athletic. And that's where I think strongman is like the actual strength sport side of CrossFit. You guys don't do as much cardio and you don't have any gymnastics to worry about. but it is that same degree of you have to be really versatile as an athlete and have really good like general athleticism.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of, in a sense, different type of athleticism, in strongman versus CrossFit, to where we just have to be good at general sprinting and, being able to run, possibly jump, and that explosive output. Very like fast twitch muscle fibers almost versus CrossFit where you have these events like you get thrown a half marathon, you can get thrown, a triathlon essentially, where you really have to utilize your slow twitch muscle fibers so that way you don't burn out very quickly. And I think that's kind of the main comparison between the two because our events no more than a 2 minute time cap on them. I think I've only seen a 2 minute time cap once ever competing. Um, and I think the pros only have the true 2 minute time caps because they are moving way more weight than I will ever move in my life. Um, Whereas CrossFit, you have the shorter, more, just kind of fast twitch events where you have the 5 minute time caps. Then you have the ones that are like 20 minute time caps, 25 minute time caps, where it's just you're going to suffer for half an hour and then you're going to have to get up and be fine because you got another event in an hour and a half. So I think that's just kind of the main comparison between CrossFit and Strawman. Is again, you can get thrown so many different things at CrossFit and Strawman. You have your basic movement patterns too. There's not too much deviation. Some people do try to reinvent the wheel, and typically the first year it kind of misses the ball a lot. But then it gets better over time.
So, not to be wildly controversial, but I want to. Um, do you think CrossFit is a strength sport?
Yes. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. Why not?
I count CrossFit as a strength sport. I think that like strength is a component, yeah, but strength is a component in a lot of different sports. I view it as more like a decathlon. Like it is a sport of athleticism, and it for sure is a sport, but I wouldn't classify it as a strength sport. I don't think that, like, by and large, your raw strength abilities are what's being tested.
Mm, I can see where you're coming from, but I would disagree with you because yeah, they do have their 1 rep max and 3 rep max movements in their events, but it's like gymnastics can be viewed as strength. You know, um, I think there's just different aspects where it may not be true, like weight on a bar, moving weight strength, but it could be body weight strength for max burpees. It could be, how explosive strength wise you are for unbroken bar muscle ups. Like there's just so many different avenues where you kind of have to look at the overall picture. And that's why I would include it in the strength sport category.
See, that is exactly the reason I wouldn't include it as a strength sport. Because, yeah, it involves a good deal of strength. Do not get me wrong. But if you're looking at gymnastics itself, gymnastics isn't a strength sport. Calisthenics isn't a strength sport. Like, those are what's being utilized in those regards, but those aren't strength sports. Like a
Are you
strength
sure?
sport to me is a sport where your placement is determined by the weight that you put up in competition.
So let's say you're doing a CrossFit comp and your placement is determined based on the weight you put up on a max squat or a max deadlift.
Yeah, I think they have strength events, but having coached CrossFit for a long time, I think that like less than 20%, I would be comfortable saying less than 20%, it's probably closer to sub 10 of the events are actually like a 1 rep max or determined by strength. I think it leaned that way for a little while and it's leaned back from that a lot again. But
Mhm.
I think that it's a sport that sometimes has like strength events, but I don't think it's a strength sport.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at it from just it has a overview of just being strong in different movements, and that's why I would count it as a strength sport.
What about bodybuilding? Do you call bodybuilding a strength sport?
So yes and no. After having so many talks about bodybuilding with various bodybuilding competitors that have stepped on stage, they describe it more as an endurance sport, at least from the people that I've talked to, because they come at it as you're dehydrated just to make your muscles pop to extreme ends, and you're having to stand on stage and flex for, 5 minutes at a time. Basically doing what your body doesn't want to do, right? And I think that kind of falls in line with like marathon running, you know, where you probably get to three-quarters of the marathon done and your body just doesn't want to run anymore, but you go, no, you're still running. Unfortunately, but you're still running. So I think also the mindset of bodybuilding training has deterred away from setting one rep maxes on benching, deadlifting, like in the Arnold and Ronnie Coleman, all those, pioneers of the sport.
Plats.
Yeah, Tom Platz too. Now it's much more like we're trying to isolate each muscle to the point where we know like the front delt is not as developed as like your side delt. So we're going to do a lot more front delt than your side delt. And just stuff like that, and the time under tension training that you do, the just different stuff that again has gone away from traditional strength training in itself. So I honestly don't think it counts as a strength sport. But again, like hats off to the people that do it. You push your body to incredible ends, and if that's what you want to do and you want to be good at it and you put the time and effort in, I have nothing but respect for you. So
Hundo
yeah.
P. I'm with you. I do count bodybuilding as a sport. I know that that's like a point of discourse. I think people who don't count bodybuilding as a sport have never talked to, train with, or had good relationships with competitive bodybuilders. I think the people who don't count bodybuilding as a sport are the ones who only have people who like say they, oh yeah, I'm doing bodybuilding, but they're just like doing a bro split. There's no like actual competition in it. And that's
Exactly.
completely, that's like a power lifter because they go into the gym and like do bench on Mondays and deadlifts on Tuesdays, and then they always skip like that. That's the same thing. So like I get why you wouldn't think it's a sport because you've never met real like real bodybuilders. I don't think it's a strength sport though. I'm with you on the, especially from the bodybuilders who I've known. Some of them have like competed in Olympic or competed in powerlifting. They're like, yeah, no, this isn't a strength sport. It's definitely like it's an endurance thing and it's a mental thing. Like I think the
Yeah.
mental side of bodybuilding probably makes it one of the most difficult gym sports out there.
Oh, for sure, because it's like you got body dysmorphia and borderline anorexia, like just all these different kind of mental things going on in your head where like yeah, it's just I don't want to push my body to that. Like I'm happy going to Korean barbecue once a week and lifting rocks and yeah, I don't want to have to stand in front of the mirror dead tired for an hour 3 times a week for posing training. Like I don't want to. So, but it definitely counts as a sport because there is standards, there is rules, there are classes, there are different levels. So by definition, that is sport. So for the people that say that's not a sport, you are vastly mistaken. And then what I have to say to them is go try it. Like go do everything. Go get a coach, go do the diet, do the water cut, do the spray tan, and step on stage and let's see how insecure you are. But like again, bodybuilding is the one where I have, I think, the most respect for the people that do it. Um, Simply because again, the mental, like the diet of like, hey, all my friends want to go to this restaurant, but I can't go. I have to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli with no salt, no seasoning. Obviously, there's way better nutrition out there than just that. But I'm just going off the premise of general food. But But yeah, it's hard. Like you miss out on so much life stuff, I think, because you are in prep. And if you have an athlete that is dedicated to their prep, they won't go.
Yeah. I think that bodybuilding also, continuing on the mental side of it, that like I have mad respect for. Because like look, I've done awful weight cuts and I've done water cuts and then had to lift on top of it. So like, well, granted, it's not the same thing as like going up there and posing. I do know what it's like to be like severely dehydrated and then go out and like try to perform. But the thing is that on top of all of that, as much as like it sucked, and yeah, I had to have the discipline to like actually cut and follow my calories and my macros and my micros and everything to like to the degree that I went on a work trip where I got sent over to freaking Texas again. Texas, it's always Texas. And I traveled with two food scales just in case one of them stopped working for whatever reason. And everything that I ate had to go on the scale and it had to be measured and I had to get my macros and I had to track. And I was working with my coach like 4 times a day, every time that I ate, to make sure that I was like on point on everything. Like that's what it takes. And I've done that. I've been there. But it's shorter.
Mhm.
Most bodybuilders that I know, especially the ones who are competing at like the IFBB Pro Plus level, spend like 2 or so years in their like prep phase for a show. The
Yep.
long game that you have to be good at bodybuilding is ridiculous. Because I know some people will do it. They'll be like, yeah, I've just been like bro lifting for a while, but I'm gonna cut down and do a bodybuilding show. And it was an impulse decision, and 3, 4 months later they're on stage. And like that's awesome. And they usually look great and like that's super cool. But when you get into like the high levels, people spend years prepping for one show where yeah there are standards, but there's also like there's a lot of politics in bodybuilding. I think everyone who's ever competed in bodybuilding has talked about the fact that there's a lot of politics and there's a lot of degree of like subjectivity in it when it comes to judging and factors that you like can't always control. But the long game and the like delayed gratification, dude, mad respect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because again, I'm pretty sure when you get to the elite level, they prep for Olympia. That's it. They prep for Mr. Olympia. And if they don't win Mr. Olympia, that entire year that they cook, that they train, that they lost sleep, that just all this stuff, like if they don't win or place or achieve whatever their goal, it's at a loss for one contest. It's like you get into any other sport, you go compete the next weekend most likely somewhere if you just said that I want to go do it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, bodybuilding, not a strength sport, it's an endurance sport. It's a mental sport more than any of the other ones that we've listed so far and talked about. But yeah,
Hard
so
agreed.
yeah.
Alrighty, I think that'll do it for us today. I know we bounced around a little bit, but I feel like this is kind of a fun one to go over a few different topics. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. And then you can find us. We do little clips and things on TikTok and on Instagram. It's Between Two Barbells PC is our ad on those, and Between Two Barbells on the other platforms. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Episodes come out at noon Central Time on Fridays.
Peace.
Peace.